Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Webb. I am Stan Fikes, your host for tonight. This is a brand new venture for me and us here at the Webb Radio Network. This is a brand new podcast. We're going to be doing this every Monday night, at least try every Monday night, um, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And so I'm pretty excited about this. This is going to be a great podcast. I'm gonna have great guests that's coming on, which in fact I have a great one tonight, and I'll bring him on in just a minute. I just wanted to let everybody know that um, this podcast is going to just hopefully define things on how the Webb Radio Network has changed and evolved. So I hope everybody will tune in as much as possible. And so I've run my mouth enough. I want to bring on my guest, and I would like to introduce Mr. William R. Perry, extraordinary stuntman, actor, horror author, and best of all, he's coming to our Paracon, Deep South Paracomic-Con. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him on and let's start talking.
Hey there.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
I am absolutely fan-freaking-tastic.
Good, 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 good. So I told you that I was going to have a podcast tonight, and I wanted to talk about a lot of stuff. Of course, we're going to start talking about you, sir, because your life is so interesting to me. Um, I mean, I've read so much, I've watched things. You're just amazing, and the things that you've done, I'm really jealous. So, I had my stint years ago of being an extra and things like that, but I never pursued it. Um, you make me wish I had.
I can talk you out of that in a heartbeat. Believe me.
So, all right. So, I say what, just start off and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Okay. All right. Again, William Perry. I've been a movie stuntman for about a dozen years. Back in the '80s, when slasher films were everything. Did a bunch of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Did the Lost Boys, Hooked, Home Alone 2, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. A lot of sequels. Just a lot of horror films, but a lot of TV shows. Did some Star Trek. Did some Wonder Years, which people always go, "There's stunts on the Wonder Years." But I got into that business because I'm a little guy. I'm about 5'6", at the time about 120 pounds, soaking wet, and I made a good double for kids. And a buddy of mine, I was trying to get work as an actor and struggling at that, as most people do. And he said, "Hey, I'm looking for a stunt guy. He's about this tall. He's got eyes, colors like you. He's brown hair. You look just like this kid. Would you come out and do a stunt?" And I thought, why not? I was a martial artist and a skateboarder and a motorcycle rider and did a lot of, kind of, I don't want to say extreme stunts, but, extreme sports stuff. And so it turned out to be a really good fit. And once people knew I was around, most of the other stunt guys that are out there were really big guys, like the guys you've seen on the Olympics these days. They're big, wide shoulders, big arms. I have never been accused of having a wide shoulder or a big arm. So I made a real good double for kids. And so I got to do a lot of work. Very, very fortunate. Got to travel the world. I toured with Michael Jackson across Europe one summer and have just been everywhere doing everything. Very, very blessed to be just in the right place at the right time so many times. And got to do a lot of fun work. It's a sacrifice to do that job. You can't do much of anything else. You got to be really focused. You're either training to do a job, you're looking to do a job, or you're at some crappy night job trying to support yourself when you're in between jobs. But I wouldn't trade it, that's for sure. Lots of fun places, lots of great people. You think about meeting movie stars, and I really met the cream of the crop throughout my career. Just, so lucky to work on so many films where my heroes worked, from Tim Curry from Rocky Horror Picture Show right up to uh, George Burns, from Oh God and those kind of movies. So really, just and everybody in between. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, that's a real interesting story. So you basically did you want to be a stuntman or an actor whenever you were a little kid?
Yeah, the actor was a big deal when I was a little kid. When I was real little, I was probably in second or third grade. One of my brothers was in high school at that time, and he said, "Hey, there's this play that we're doing, summer theater. Would you come out and play a kid?" Of course, I was a kid. So I got hooked. I loved the attention. I loved the makeup. I loved the costumes. I loved the whole process. And as I got was growing up through middle school and into high school, it just became everything I wanted to do. And I had sort of a knack for it right off. I don't get nervous in front of crowds. In fact, the bigger the crowd, the less nervous I get. So that's kind of a fun part of it. And I just loved the chance to learn some lines and let's be somebody else for a little while. Not that I was trying to escape being me per se, but I really liked the idea of walking in somebody else's shoes. What's it like to be that person, even if just for 2 hours on stage tonight? And went through college and got agents and got my pictures done and did all the stuff you do out here in LA to try to get that going. But a lot of times they would say, "You're just too short. 5'6" is just too short." And, Tom Cruise is probably another inch taller than me. And Stallone's not that tall either. And Michael J. Fox is actually even shorter. But they got to start early. And so it's a very challenging thing to try to be in the movie business, especially here in LA. That's where all the work is. But you are competing with tens of thousands of people. And it's not even just about your ability. There's a lot of luck involved. Do you have the right agent? Did you go to the right audition? Did you meet the right people at the right time in your career? And so when the stunt thing started working out, I didn't have to go to auditions anymore. People would just call me and just assumed that I'm real good at what I do. And I would call my buddies and they'd say, "What's going on this week?" I'd say, "Oh, I'm supposed to get hit by a car." "How do you get hit by a car?" "Well, the car does most of the work. You just kind of let absorb the energy of the car and try to roll when you land." And I was pretty invincible as a kid, as we all are when we're 20 years old. We don't imagine anything's ever going to kill us. And I liked the excitement of it. I loved being on set. People told me I was even too happy. It's like, calm down. You want to look like you belong here. Don't act like this is the best day of your life. But it is the best day of my life. Every day on this set was the best day of my life. And I just really remember just enjoying it. And yeah, people would, now when I talk to folks, they say, "I really wanted to do that, but I didn't have the, the resources to make that big jump. And it seemed like a really scary jump." It's like, yeah, it was a very scary jump. Um, like I said, glad I did it. I would probably never recommend anybody I know to do it. It's like it has to be something that's not even a choice. It has to be that this is the only thing in the whole world that is going to make me happy. And when people tell me that, it's like, okay, because that's the kind of commitment that it requires. You don't have girlfriends, you don't have time to yourself. You work nights at some, job pushing dog food on the shelves at a grocery store, and you work during the day trying to find, more work that's out there, or you train to learn a new skill, and that's pretty much your daily life. And people are like, "Oh, that doesn't sound like much fun." It's like, yeah, for most folks it isn't. But for us at the time, it was a single purpose. Nothing else mattered. Somebody said to me, "Well, what if you were gonna die in 2 weeks? What would be the most important thing in your life?" And most people would say, "Well, spending time with my family." It's like, no, my family knows who I am. I want to work on the movie. I want to do the best piece of work I've ever done. And it's like, "Well, you're sick. You're twisted. You're crazy." It's like, yeah, I can see that description.
Well, I see where you're coming from. having done what little bit I have. I mean, it was fun. Um, it wasn't just something that I was able to continue with, but I mean, I get that. It's once you start something like that, you're looking for the top. So it's hard to get there, and
Yeah. And
so
you always, I had jobs where I was selling photocopiers at one point, and I got a call to work on the movie Hook, which was a big budget movie,
oh
big
yeah,
time movie. Yeah, it's huge. Steven Spielberg, right? I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that. And this guy said to me, "You can't go this week." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to stay. If you're telling me that I'm quitting, then I'm quitting." And he's like, "That's crazy. Just for 2 days work?" I said, "Well, it's 2 days to begin with. We don't know how much longer it'll be." And he's like, "And you're going to give it all up? You're going to give up this great job selling photocopiers to for 2 days on some movie?" Well, yeah, of
sure,
course. What do you know?
that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a no-brainer. I couldn't even believe he finished the question. I'm sure the look on my face was like, uh, but that's what I wanted to do. And when somebody offers you your dream job, even just for a couple of days, it's you. I mean, I, at least for myself, I grew up very modestly, and so my dream was out there. And if somebody was going to give me that opportunity to do it, even for a couple of days, hell yeah, I'm so out of here. You won't even see my shadow. And you have to chase it like that. And I mean, I've chased almost everything in my whole life that way. I don't want to do something I don't want to do for very long. And if the opportunities are out there, I'm gonna chase them down or die trying. Not for the money, not for the fame, because it's what I wanted to do. It's what I feel like I'm here to do. It's what I feel like what I was created for was to do movies and TV and theater. And when the chances had, appeared to do it, it's like, hey, not everybody gets this chance. And I hear that a lot at conventions and in events like yours where people will say, nobody gets their dream job, Bill. I know. So that's why I recognized when it was happening for me, you gotta jump in. You don't know, no looking back. Never. My mom had said to me, "Don't you want to have another career to fall back on?" I'm like, people who have a career to fall back on. You gotta go in, off the high dive. There's no shortcuts. You know.
Definitely off the high dive. Yeah, got to go for the gusto, right?
Yeah, I mean, how much longer? Tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody. Um, so if there's that thing they say, when you on your deathbed, are you going to wish you wish you spent more time at your office doing a job you didn't want to do, or you're going to wish you went motorcycle riding, or you're going to wish you went fishing, or you're going to wish you went and did something that really just made your heart sing, made you happy, made you
Right.
deep down happy. And I feel like I've spent a good portion of my life chasing the things that really matter to me. And I don't care if other people say, doing movies is frivolous and stupid. It doesn't matter. I get you. Didn't it mattered to me, you
That's right.
know? And I'm in a different phase of my life. I spend a lot of my time doing a lot of different things. I wrote a book, a couple of books actually, which has been really fun. And now there's talk of making the book into a movie, and I'm going to chase that like there's no tomorrow, because having my work out there and letting people see it and scaring people with my writing it just sounds like a thrill, you
Yeah,
know. And so why not? I'd hate to think that I had the opportunity and I let it go because I chickened out. You know?
that's true. That's very true. I totally agree. Go for everything, man. Go for the top. So, um, your best role or your favorite job or role, what was that?
Hmm. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a great question. It's kind of a toss up. I really liked working on Return of the Living Dead 2. And this was not exactly your Oscar winning, script or anything, but it was a zombie movie and a comedy zombie movie at that. And the great thing as a stunt person, when you're working on a zombie movie, is zombies don't die. They're already dead. And so I was doubling this kid, and I was actually working two films at the same time, which never happens to almost anybody I know. So I would work during the day on one shot, and then I would go home, get 3, 4 hours of sleep, and go back to work on another job. And I just remember being so excited I couldn't sleep, even if I wanted to. I remember thinking, "This is the best. This is everything I dreamt of. I get to work on two movies at the same time." And there was stuff. I got run over by a meat truck. I got electrocuted. I got stabbed in the mouth with a screwdriver and thrown off a catwalk. And I just remember thinking, this will be new. This will be different. This will be fun. And the people were fun. The casts were very nice people. Very low budget movies at the time. And so it was all kind of winging it, as much as one can on a SAG film. Uh, but I just remember thinking that was really fun and just being so excited to go to work each day. And then License to Drive. It's another movie where I was doubling one of the Coreys. There was Corey Feldman and Corey Haim back in the 80s. I did a couple of movies for them. And there was a stunt where I go out through the window of a school bus right at the beginning of the film. And I remember thinking to myself, you could buy it. You could die doing this. Let's let's see how much you trust yourself. How good are your skills? What do you got? And my best friend, since we were little kids, was there. And as it turned out, I went through the window and a big chunk of glass stuck in my arm right about there. And I remember, completely adrenaline and, junkie right then and there. And he says, you're bleeding a lot. I'm like, oh no, I don't want this to get on my wardrobe. He's like, no, we got to stop you. That's a vein. That's a pretty good artery you're doing right there. And so we took some crazy glue and cleaned me up real quick, and bam, we went and did it again. And I just remember feeling like this is as good as it gets. You get to do a stunt that really is sort of defining for the opening of the film. Um, and I was still pretty new at the business at that time. And I worked on a lot of tumbling, just going to the gym, like a gymnastics gym, and jumping off of spot trampolines and getting out there on the floor and learning how to do my tumbling, just to make sure that I could do exactly what they wanted me to do in the air after coming through glass. And I hadn't done it before, and I thought, well, this is how you're going to learn. And just something about the craziness of it, the silliness of doing something like that, and then somebody says to you, "How much money do you want for what you did?" And you're like, "Well, I could have died. How much money am I worth? I guess." And I said to myself, "I guess I don't know, $500." And he goes, "$500? Are you insane? That's $1,500 if it's anything." And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "1,500 each." I'm like, "Good payday." you know. But the money was never what it was all about. I certainly enjoyed it, but it was really about challenging myself and feeling like one day I'm going to get to see myself 90 feet across in a movie theater, just like I dreamt of when I was a kid, you know. And then Predator 2, another one, my first acting role in a film, big budget film at the time, and being able to go into this room where we're re-recording the audio, and I'm seeing myself on this massive screen, and it's really me, and you can tell it's me because I'm not doubling somebody. I was playing a part, and I just remember that being just the best week of my life, just feeling like, wow, this is everything I ever dreamt of, and here I am, you know. So I know I'm glomming on about how much fun it was, but it's true. It was really cool stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, doing what I done, I had a good time. So I could only imagine, you know, the extent of the fun that you had. So
Yeah.
so that's cool.
Well, and
This
people treat you well. It's funny when I joke that when you tell somebody an actor, they go, "Oh, really? What restaurant?" Um, because in LA, if you're an actor, you're working at a restaurant somewhere. That's just a convenient job. But when you tell them you're a stuntman, the women were like, "Oh, you're so strong," And so I remember, just feeling like that people felt like I was cool, And growing up as an actor, nobody thinks you're cool. But when you're a working actor or a working stunt person, all of a sudden you are cool because that's something a lot of people aspire to and not a lot of people get to do. I think the Screen Actors Guild would tell you that less than 5% of the people who end up in the union ever get even one job. They
Oh,
never
wow.
work, never work. So when you do work and you do work consistently, you are in a top tier there. So you're a very fortunate, very hardworking person to get to that level. And coincidentally, I mean, it never seemed like that big a deal to me at the time, only because all my friends were also stunt people and also actors, and all of us were working. So I think I kind of had this false sense of how easy it was or how difficult it was because we were all doing well. I mean, I guess I just got into the good crew of people, and we all ended up being relatively successful. But I definitely recognize it now, looking back at how uh, deeply fortunate I was to be in the right place and have the right body type, and have the right skills as an athlete to be able to do the work that I did. So many other people, knew that they had all those skills but never got the chance.
Mm, absolutely. So, what was your hardest role that you had to adapt for?
Ooh, that's good. It's a kind of a funny one, because of my height and my weight, and I'm pretty much bald now, but back then I had nice flowing locks, as we all do, back in those days, and I had to double women from time to time. I doubled a woman named Lori Petty, who was in League of Their Own, and she was in Point Break. And I remember they said, "We're going to need you to shave." And if you can see in the camera here, I am just this side of being a Sasquatch. And I think I had a tail when I was born. I'm a hairy dude. And they said, "We're going to have to shave you completely, down." And that's a lot. I think I lost a pound with all the body hair they shaved off. And I had kind of shoulder length hair. And I remember Lori's mom was working on the movie with us, and she came up and she's like, "Lori, time for lunch." I'm like, "Thanks, mom." You know, she's like, "Oh my God, you look just like her." And I thought, yeah, I guess that's a compliment. She's an attractive woman. And then I worked on another show where I was working with Wes Craven, and they wanted me to be this sort of stalker, and they didn't want anybody to know whether it was a man or a woman. So he said, "I want you to try to go as don't try to look too manly, don't try to look too womanly, but I need you to be sort of in between." And when people think of stunts, they think of getting lit on fire, thrown off a building, or something like that. Excuse me. But sometimes it's really just about working to emulate someone else, whether that's a man or a woman, whether that's a kid, whether it's an animal. Sometimes you do character work where you're in a costume, and so a lot of it is really acting with your body. If you're a stunt person, you don't normally get lines because unless you're playing your own character, and so you follow around your actor, and you kind of look, how do they walk? What's their gait like? They swing their arms much? Are they real demonstrative with their hands? Um, and so a lot of the times the struggle is really trying to be as close to that actor as you can so you can make them look good. You got to make your actor look good. If you do a stunt and you look, uh, you know, you don't look much like them, they're not going to call you back to have you do it again. So a lot of times it's following your actor around like a little puppy dog, trying to be their shadow as best you can, so that when the time comes for the stunt, that you can be as like them as you can be, so that nobody will ever know. If somebody sees me in a movie and they can tell it's me, somebody screwed up. Hopefully not me, uh, because you want it to look like it's the actor. And I doubled almost every actor I doubled more than once. Um, so I think I did a pretty fair job of doing that. But I came from an acting background where most stuntmen come from athletic background. But I came in with an actor's mindset. And so I think that idea to kind of pick out idiosyncrasies in the way they walk and talk and move was something that kind of came naturally to me. But that's a good question. That's part of the job that most people don't think about very much. That is a bit of a challenge.
Well, that's definitely something that you had to adapt to. I don't know that I could have pulled that off. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's funny. One of the things I'm going to be doing at your con, I'm doing about a 30, 40 minute presentation about what it's like to be a Hollywood stuntman. And
right,
people, they were saying, "Oh, I could do that." I'm like, "Why do you think so?" They're like, "Oh, I'm completely fearless." That's not the power. That is not a skill that you want. That is not an attitude you want. You want to be afraid of everything because people who aren't afraid of stuff get hurt. And so we'll talk about more of that when we do the convention. But there's so many elements of the job. Like if you do say you're going to jump off a building and they want you to fall and they want you to land at a certain place, it's not just necessary that you fall. You have to land in a spot. There's a very particular spot they want you to land in, and you need to follow a particular trajectory because a camera only sees so much. And if you're not hitting the mark, as they call it, when you land, you're out of focus, which means the shot doesn't look good. You don't think about it so much when you watch movies, but it's very infrequent that the person that is talking or the person that's the main action of the scene isn't in perfect focus. They spend a lot of time. I mean, filmmaking is a very slow process because they want to make sure everybody's in focus at every stage of the action that's going on screen. And so, as a stunt person, not only do you have to be able to hit a mark, you have to be able to hit it every time they ask for it. They may ask you to do that stunt 5 times, and you have to do it exactly the same every single time, no variation at all. And so, if you're just being fearless and kind of cowboying it out there, you might not be as good at this as you think because they're like, hey, your legs were completely like this the first time, and now your legs are together. That isn't going to work. What's the matter with you? And a good stunt person just knows these things. And so it's there's a lot of nuanced sort of stuff to it that it certainly can be taught, but it's not something that comes intuitively to your basic rodeo clown guy that's out there winging it and hoping for the best.
absolutely. Well, I don't know that I could do the whole jumping off the bit. Well, I take that back. Back when I was a firefighter, I did a lot of rappelling and things of that nature.
Yeah,
Um, I've kind of fallen, but it wasn't a controlled fall. Trust me. Um, so I kind of get that. I probably could have, you know, had fallen like that, but I don't know. I probably have my legs open and, whatever.
yeah.
It would not have been good. So yeah, I don't think that would have been a good thing. But so, what was your hardest stunt that you ever had to do?
That's kind of that has a couple of different answers too. I won't go on too much, but I had to do a stunt one time where I was put in a clothes dryer. Now that doesn't sound like that complicated a thing. I was doubling a kid who got stuffed in a clothes dryer and he accidentally gets locked in, and he's spinning around, and they put me in a real clothes dryer. It was one of the laundromats, so it was pretty good sized. And the thing is, they turn the heat off, but there's still a lot of lights necessary to make a movie. And so that was heating up the little chamber that I was in quite a bit. Excuse me one second. Excuse me. So anyway, they put me in this thing and it turns around and around. Well, it does one revolution every second. Now they wanted to run me in there for 35 seconds to a minute. Now, if you've ever gotten out on the grass when you were a little kid and start doing somersaults down the way, you probably never did 30 in a row. You probably didn't do 60 in a row, I guarantee it. Because by the time I was done for about a minute, I was so scrambled, I didn't know where I was. And every time that thing would turn upside down, one of those paddles inside would whack me in the head. And I remember getting out of the thing, and my eyes are, doing this, and I'm nauseous. Oh my gosh, so nauseous. And my head had a little, I was bleeding, and the guy said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." And he said, "Can you do it again?" "Sure, why not?" And he said, "You sure you're going to be okay?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to throw up." "You're going to throw up? Are you sure?" I said, "Oh, I could throw up now." I mean, I am dizzy beyond any possibility of ever recovery. And I said, "You might as well put me in again. I'm not going to get any worse. I'm certainly not going to get any better anytime soon." And so they put me in again. And when I came out, oh, I was just horrible nauseous. And yeah, would have been better to do before lunch, let's just say. And so that was one of those ones where when it was all said and done, it was a nothing stunt in terms of its impact on the film or how cool it looked or anything. In fact, the movie went straight to video. I don't even think I've seen it. And I remember thinking, I got a concussion from that. And I can't even turn around in bed quickly anymore after that. It absolutely screwed me up for spinning ever again. I can't go on the teacups at Disneyland. I can't go on any of the rides at the county fair anymore. It absolutely changed my inner ear or whatever it did. But yeah, that one messed me up. And for a nothing stunt, possibly one of the more um, long-term injuries, that I've received from a absolutely ridiculous, unnecessary stunt. They could have just put a bag of clothes in that laundromat. Nobody would have noticed. You didn't see my arms or legs in there very much. I think maybe you saw my face flash by for a quarter of a second. They could have easily done without me. But yeah, so one of those things. Kind of again, great story, not a great stunt.
Gotcha. Yeah, I couldn't have, well, of course, they couldn't even have gotten me in a dryer. So, no, no.
If I had
It
it all
was,
to do over again, I probably still would have done it, but I would have known what it was going to do to me. And I probably would have said, look, we're not going around for more than about 10 seconds. That's going to be plenty of footage. To do it twice, three times, oh, you're out of your mind. There's absolutely no necessity.
well, that's cool. I probably would like to try that anyway, but they probably, yeah, I
It's something I
probably,
see kids do it from time to time, and I'm like, you're going to be sorry, but go for it. I want to watch.
right, right. So, but that's cool. So when you get cast on a movie, whether it be an actor or a stuntman, um, what is the first process that you have to go through in order to be on that movie?
It kind of depends whether I mean, you get a little bit of both. I did have to do an audition for Predator 2, for example. I had to read my lines for the director and the producer and a bunch of the people that were involved in that. And then, they'll come in, they'll send you what they call the sides, which is like the pages that your character appears on. And then you look at it and you try to think, what do I want to do with this? When we did Predator 2, they were looking for gang members. And I don't look like a gang member. I never did. I was this preppy little kid. I looked like a Calvin Klein ad when I was a kid. But I went in and I just decided I'm going to have some fun with it. And so I was kind of rude. I was kind of stuck up. I was kind of a smart ass. It's not a big switch. And I went and read for them, and they had me read with some other actors. And then they called me about 2 weeks later, and they said, "Hey, we want you for the subway gang leader." And I said, "Oh, you got the wrong guy." And I said, "We did?" And they said, "Yeah, I'm the little guy. I was the little preppy guy." And they said, "Oh, no, that's the guy we want." They thought it was funny that this little tiny, you know, nothing of a, squirt little guy was bossing around these big monkeys. I thought, oh, so my reading, which I thought was just being a goof, actually turned out to be what they liked. I learned a lesson there. When you go into the audition, don't do what you think they want. Do what you want to do. Make it interesting. Give them something they haven't seen. But other than that, most times if it's just a stunt, you spend a lot of time doing what we call hustling. And hustling would mean you find out that there's a film being filmed down the street or across town, and you get your pictures and your resumes, and you go there and you sneak on set, or you sneak onto the lot at Universal or Warner Brothers or wherever they're making a movie, and you find the stunt coordinator and you say, "Hey, my name's Bill. Really looking for what's going on in your show today?" And they will maybe take a few minutes to chat with you, and then say, "Hey, here's my picture. If you have somebody that looks like me and about my height and weight, I would love to work for you." And that's pretty much it. So you do this every single day, pretty much every day. Nighttime, weekends. If you see a film being made, you go and you hustle because that's how you get your work. And then sometimes, they'll call you. Most of the time, not. But I would have sometimes where somebody would say, "Hey, Tony told me about you." And it's like, "Oh, really?" And they said, "Yeah." He says, "You're, pretty good at this." I'm like, "Oh, that's very nice of Tony. What's going on?" And then they just call, and they just work you. I remember getting a part on Home Alone, which meant they were going to fly me to New York, which was lovely, a wonderful trip. And they just called me, and I said, "How do you know about me?" And they said, "Well, we know about a guy that everybody normally picks, and he's kind of a pain in the butt, and we don't want to work with him anymore. And you're the same height, same weight. It's not that difficult to stunt. And we just thought, let's work with somebody that's nice. Let's work with somebody that's fun. And you seem like that guy." I go, "Oh, okay." And so they called me, and sure enough, a few days later, I'm flying first class to New York and staying at the Plaza Hotel in, Manhattan, and just having the best time ever, and doing a really fun film. The Home Alone films are just, it's just stunt after stunt after stunt. So I was very fortunate to work on that. So that, sometimes it was just, make sure everybody knows who you are, make sure they know you're available, and make sure they know you're professional. I think I got as much work for my attitude as I did my skills. Because when you're a stunt person, they just assume if you put your resume out and you go, "Hey, I'm Bill Perry," they go, "Okay," and they look at your resume and they go, "All right," and then maybe they call you, but they assume you can do everything. There was never any, "Hey, Bill, can you go through a window? Hey, Bill, can you do a high fall?" They would just call you, figuring, well, you call yourself a stuntman, of course you can do all those things, unless it was something really specialized. Um, like if I was going to be doing skateboarding or something like that, they would ask me, "Can you skateboard?" Because not everybody can skateboard. Not everybody rides horses. Not everybody, does this or that. But if there was a skill that was fairly general, getting thrown out of a car, for example, it's like, no, they just assume you can do that. And so it's kind of a weird thing to have somebody just assume you know how to get lit on fire, because
Right.
that's a skill. That's a very specific skill, and it's very,
Yeah,
very dangerous stuff.
I could relate to that one.
Ooh, that's scary stuff. More people get killed doing fire than anything. But I was really good friends, and my mentor was a gentleman named Tony Caesar, and Tony was the guy with fire, and so he taught me how to do it when I needed to do it, and that was good because you want the best in the business to teach you how to do something that's that lethal. So,
Um, I
nice.
got a I got a question in the chat room from Teresa. She wants to know, have you worked outside the country before?
The one time I really got to work outside the country was in Europe. I got to travel with Michael Jackson, as I mentioned a little earlier.
That
At the end of the concert, Michael would strap a rocket on his back. It was the old Bell Labs. You're probably old enough to remember the old Bell Labs '70s, rocket. The guy would,
yeah,
take on, and off he would go. Well, the very same rocket was owned by a good friend of mine, a gentleman named Kenny Gibson. And so I was working with Kenny, and he said, "Hey, I need somebody to come to Europe for a couple of months. Can you come? Can you come work here?" I'm like, "What? I got something else to do that's better than that? Are you kidding me?" And so I got to travel all the way from England to Romania over the course of the summer and everything in between. And yeah, it was wonderful because normally when you do movies, there's requirements how well they have to treat you. When they flew me to New York, it had to be first class. There's a rule. It says if you're in the Screen Actors Guild and you're going to go there, they got to fly you first class. Not a bad thing. I don't get to do that very much. And when we were working with Michael, he said, "Well, you'll stay in the same hotels that Michael Jackson stays in, which are very nice hotels." I'll tell you that. And the travel was very nice. And it's like a moving city when they do these concerts. They have one whole stage set up is in the city that you're in. And then there's a whole nother duplicate one that's on its way to the next city. And when you finish this one, you start heading off to the next city, and they tear this one apart and they send it on to the city that's after that. So yeah, I got to go to Spain and England and Germany and Austria, Romania, every place. It was, yeah, Portugal. And again, one of those things. Growing up very modestly in a single family, a single mother's home, I never dreamt of any of that stuff. So when those things came up, it was like I never thought I'd leave the state, much less the country. And then I was getting paid, a ridiculous amount of money to do something I would have done for free. I would sit and watch the concert every night until about the last 10 minutes. We'd do the big finale, and then we'd go out and have a few drinks and head on to the next city. Uh, you know, Very, very fortunate. Another really great one. Other than that, no, I really just most everything I did was not only in the States. It was actually in California, within 20 miles of where I'm standing right now. So,
Well, that's cool.
I think we froze for a second there.
Well, that's cool. You being able to work with Michael Jackson and traveling along with him. I'm a big MJ fan, and he was just amazing from the Jackson Five
Boy,
to right on up. So that's amazing.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And to watch him work every night was absolutely stunning. I imagine there are people who got to see Elvis. There are people who got to see the Beatles. There are people who got to witness, a once in a lifetime entertainer. And we really did. I would just watch him each night. And I wasn't the hugest fan at the beginning, but I would just watch him work a crowd of 110,000 people like he was sitting in his living room performing for mom and dad. Just as comfortable and talented and amazing as he could possibly be. And I know that towards the end there, he was people thought of him as a very odd guy, but he was very kind. He was very generous. I never saw any of the hoo-ha that people talk about that he had. They say that he did. I'm not saying it did or didn't happen. I just, like I said, I knew him to be a very kind, very generous person who was very gentle and stupidly talented. Oh my gosh! Like I say, a once in a generation, maybe once in a several generations talent. Could sing, could dance, and just knew how to make people happy. You know, and so yeah, that's another one of those things. When I look back on it, I go, "Was that me? God, I'm lucky."
Right.
more blessings in one life than any 10 people deserve.
That's cool. That's just cool. So, is there any one person in this world that you would like to do a stunt for, work with,
Mm,
double? Who is that?
a good one. That's a good one. I mean, I think it would be more the kind of film. I can't think of any one actor that I've doubled that really did the kind of film. Like, I would love to have worked on a Star Wars film. I would love to have worked on a Indiana Jones film, only because, or James Bond. Oh gosh, James Bond film. Because those are those films that when you were growing up as a kid, those are those popcorn movies that you're watching with your family and your friends, and you're just in awe. Your mouth's hanging open, and you're like, "How on earth did they do that?" You know. I think other than the stunt thing, I really want to do. I want to do a part in a film where I get to really act as good as I can act. There is a chance that I'll be making the film version of a book that I wrote called By His Hand, and I've had some interest in making it. And somebody said, "Well, would you play yourself?" I said, "Oh yeah, yeah, that would be worth it. That would be again, dream of lifetime." The part's written very well, I think, as a writer. I think it's a good part, and so I'm kind of that's if I get a chance to do it, I will definitely tell you first. Um, but yeah, I think to be able to play a real character in a film where I really get to stretch out and be the actor that I think I always was meant to be. Very fortunate, of course, to do the stunts and the acting that I did, but I would love to play a real character that would absolutely just, uh, stun audiences and really draw them in. The book that I've written, By His Hand, is a horror film, horror book, and it's very, very personal. It's very, very sad. I'll have some copies at my when I come to the show.
Awesome.
Um, and it's one of those things where it was a nightmare that I had one night, and when I told my wife about it, she didn't want to hear anything about it. She's like, "That is the saddest, most disturbing thing I think I've ever heard. Please don't tell me anymore." And I thought, "Ooh, I've got something here. If I can absolutely horrify my wife, I can probably it's probably got some legs to it." But that would be my next big dream thing to do, would be to turn this into a film and be able to make it what I want it to be. I've started talking to some other filmmakers. Just turned out I happened to sit at dinner completely randomly with the gentleman that wrote and directed what is that film? Night of the Demons. and he sat with me for about 3 hours and told me how to make it, which was just, again, what are the chances? I just happened to be sitting at a dinner party. Nobody knew. I mean, I didn't know he was going to be there, and I didn't even know what he did until he told me. I'm like, how lucky am I to be sitting next to you? Okay, I'm going to absolutely drain your brain of every piece of information I can get to make this happen. But yeah, that would be probably the next big dream, and it's possible. I think it's out there. My wife said, "I'm not going to watch the movie, but I'll go to the premiere." And I said, "I'm so excited that you think I'm actually going to get it done." I've seen you work before. If you want it, you're going to have it. There's probably nobody going to be able to stand in your way.
Well, that's cool. I hope that happens for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be a low budget, but I think it'll scare some people. When people have read it, they normally tell me I had to stop about halfway through. That one scene is so disturbing. I was actually, like physically upset. Like, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad I traumatized you for $5. Yeah. And how you normally afford a trauma for anything less than $10.
right. Yeah. But it's nice to be traumatized cheaply. I mean, really.
Yeah, you're going to be done if it's going to be done. And I like the idea. The cool thing about writing the book was that this is entirely mine. Nobody wrote this except me. These are my characters. These are my events. These are my words that caused that trauma. And as an actor, you're usually reading somebody else's words. As a stunt person, you're doing something that someone else wrote and someone else directed and someone else did that. This would be the chance to really let something that I've created wholly and completely on my own. And if you're a creator, you do your podcast. It's no fun unless people are watching it.
You're
You
right.
know, and when somebody tells you, "Oh my gosh, that story that you told on the show last night absolutely mesmerized me," it's like, well, good. That's what I wanted. I'm sharing something, some part of me that you connected with. That's what the whole, artistic world is about. Is taking something that you've experienced and helping to, share it with someone else in a way that makes a difference for them. It scares them, makes them laugh, whatever it is. So
Yeah,
that would be a very big deal.
I think so. Absolutely. So you've been going to um, a bunch of shows, events and things of that nature. What part of going to some of these events is your favorite part?
It's always the same. Uh, when I uh, when I was doing movies and stuff like that, I was very proud of what it's not for everybody, and some people think of you as being a flake, and some people think of you as being, some Hollywood actor type, and they don't understand all the time and effort and heart and soul you put into it. And when I go to shows, it's fun because people want to know about the movies that are their favorites. And so if somebody says, "Yeah, I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Can I ask you a question about that?" It's like, "Oh, please bring it." That's the fun part. And then if I can give them some little nugget about the making of that film that they didn't know, they will go and watch that movie again and they will enjoy it all over. And then they'll tell their friends, "I talked to the guy. I talked to the guy that did that movie, and he told me this. And when we watch it, you got to watch. You got to see this. You're never going to see it the same way again." And so you get the opportunity to help somebody enjoy something that they've enjoyed before, but in a new way. And I joke that my kids are so tired of my stories. They're like, "Dad, we've heard it. This is like the 12th time you've told this story. Can you please just, you know?" But when I go to go to the conventions, nobody's ever heard my terrible jokes.
Right,
Nobody's
right,
ever
right.
heard my boring stories, and they do like them, and they do seem to enjoy them. And it's that give and take. There's a lot of times like a guy told me one time that Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was his favorite film in the whole world, and I thought, well, it's not exactly Titanic. What was it that you liked? You know, and he says, "Well, when I did that, when I saw that movie for the first time, I was with my dad, and I'd never been to see an R-rated movie before, and I was 14, and my mom would never have let me go because she knew it'd scare the crap out of me. But my dad took me out, and first we went out for a steak dinner, you know, and it was the first time my dad really treated me like an adult, you know." And we went to go see the movie, and it scared us, and we laughed, and we scared the poop out of us. And then we got home, my mom asked what happened. We had to tell her the whole real story. And she was, disappointed, but, let it go. And it's like, so that movie, the difference about why that's your favorite movie in the whole world has something to do with the movie, but it also has to do with a certain time of your life where, you made that bond with dad, or it was the first time you went to see a scary movie with your girlfriend and she got real nervous. She hugged you, and that's, and so a lot of these movies are a touchstone to a certain time in someone's life. And when you get to share that with them and you get to sort of revisit that time, it feels great, because you can see the passion in their eyes. And people that are into horror films are different than people who are into sci-fi. I mean, I love my sci-fi people. I worked on Star Trek: The Next Generation for a while, and the Star Trek fans are lovely people, but their devotion to science fiction is nothing like the devotion to horror. People that are into these movies love them like children, and they remember every detail, and they do their own art. When somebody brings you a piece of art and they're like, "Hey, can you sign this for me?" It's like, "Oh my God, did you paint this?" And yeah, I'm like, I'm a little afraid to sign it. I don't want to ruin it. And they're like, ruin it? Oh my God, your signature on it's going to make it, even more valuable. It's like, wow, really? Gosh, this is beautiful work. And I see so many great artists. I mean, like the vendors that you have at the show, these are people who often create this stuff out of their own creativity, in their own hands, and they're feeding their families with what they've made. There is something about that that is just amazing and awesome. It's a creative process, but it's like we're all here to create something together, and we're all here to enjoy something together. Our love of spooky movies, or our love of ghost hunting, or our love of just spooky stuff in general. And when you find that community, you don't have when you go to a show and you do a cosplay, and somebody dresses up as Freddy Krueger. If they were to just walk around their workplace, they'd be thought of as being a weirdo. You can go to a convention and be as weird as you want to be, and you will
Absolutely.
find your tribe. Nobody makes you feel funny for dressing up as whatever, a ghost or a ghoul or whatever. And I love that part. I love that people walk around proud and loud. Maybe that guy's a banker. He, works at the Chase, on Monday morning. But today, he's dressed as Jason from Friday the 13th, and he's having a great time, and he isn't worried about what anybody thinks, you know. And there's something about that that just warms my soul. This world is crazy. People are mean to one another. When you get in with your tribe at a convention, people are nice to you. People laugh along with you. People enjoy it as much as you do, and they don't judge everybody. And they're generous people. I saw something the other day. There was a gal that was a longtime cosplayer, and she got sick, and she had cancer. And people put out a GoFundMe, and within 48 hours, she had $15,000.
Oh, wow. That's great.
People all over the country who just knew of her and saw her stuff and enjoyed, talking with her online. That's a generosity you don't see in a lot of communities. I don't see that community sometimes at church, you know?
Right.
And so to see people who are just that tied into one another, who see each other as equals and hey, you're a freak, I'm a freak. Let's be freaks together.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that. And so I think the part about going to the shows that just, I mean, I talk a mile a minute. I'm sorry,
No,
going
that's
on.
fine.
But that is what drives me. That's what gets my energy up. When somebody comes to my table and they want to know the nitty gritty details of every film I've done, or anything that I can tell them about Robert Englund or this actor or that actor, and I have that to share with them, we are soulmates
Right.
in that instant, and that's fun. That just for me, my wife is not a person that enjoys meeting new people per se. But me, I come home from these things and she's like, yeah, when you calm down, you can come in, but I don't want to hear your whole weekend in the next 5 minutes. Relax, let your batteries drain out a little bit because I can't take this much, but I am fired up. I just love it. And I think that's the fun part of it. If you don't enjoy that, I do meet actors sometimes who don't enjoy it. I'm like, what do you do the shows for then? Don't make don't be that person when they finally meet their hero and you're not enthusiastic.
Yeah.
They need that from you. They saved up for this. This ain't cheap. You're talking 10 gallons of gas are meeting you. You know what? Make it worth it. You
Sure.
know, let those people know how much you appreciate them. Recognize that you're the luckiest person on earth that anybody gives a rat's butt about you and is actually willing to pay money and travel far just to come hear, a 5-minute story and hang out with you just for a minute. Boy, if you don't understand that that's a gift and a blessing, don't do shows because it's sad otherwise. I hate to see somebody walk away from meeting a hero and feeling a little heartbroken. You know,
Right.
that's no good.
I agree. I totally agree. So we are in deep preparation right now for our event, Deep South Paracomic Con. Um, and for those of you that is listening, it's September 14th and 15th at the Ozark Civic Center, Ozark, Alabama.
39 days. Who's counting?
That's right, right. Well, I am.
Me too.
Well, I can't hardly wait to meet you and all of our other great guests. And so I mean, everybody is really looking forward to you coming to the con, and even even our other guests that of course, haven't met you before and things. Um, they're just ecstatic that you're able to come, and we feel really blessed to have you coming. And
Oh, and me too. I mean, I'm looking for. I just started writing about 2 years ago, and I know you've got a lot of authors coming, and I know you've got people who've written paranormal books and all that stuff. And I hope I let them get a word in edgewise. Because I'm just as excited as meeting them as they might be for me. I just This is such a new and different type of convention for me. Most of the times, it's all just movie stuff, and that's all fine, and I love doing it, but yours is unique. Yours is different. It's a different part of the country. It's a different part of the world, really, in its way. And the people that are experts on things are things I'm so curious about. I just imagine I'm going to be sitting there with my mouth hanging open half the day. Just I'm hoping I'm going to get some chance to see some of these other folks. I certainly want everybody to come to my table if they want to come by, but I'm going to be you know eavesdropping on anytime I can on some of the other speakers and some of the other writers and some of the other guests. I can't wait. It's going to be
we'll
great.
we're going to make sure that you have time to do just that. Experience some of the other guests and things of that nature. We have a lot planned. There's a lot planned for the general floor. Um, of course, the vendor floor and that type of thing. So,
And I talked to Sharon about the cosplay contest.
yeah, yeah.
She was asking me about that, and I told her, I said, this can be the funnest part, and I so hope that people don't get shy and they decide that they're going to join that cosplay contest because it is so much fun. Sometimes the worst costume is the best costume because it was just completely the best they could do. Sometimes people are really good at it. Sometimes people aren't, but it's the effort and it's the fun that you have doing it that really makes it, that really makes the fun part of it. So if you're out there and you're watching this and you thought, oh, come on, I don't want to do cosplay, I'll feel silly. You absolutely will feel silly and you will have the best time you can have with pants on. Join in all this stuff, join in all of that. To me, when people ask me, about my, success in life, I said, it's because I'm a joiner. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's some stupid board game. I don't care if it's, whatever it's going to be, join in because that's where all the fun is. And if you sit there and you worry too much about whether you're going to look silly, you're going to have a terrible time. Come on out and fly your freak flag high, baby, and have all the fun you can have at this. I mean, it's a great weekend for everybody involved, but I think the more people actually participate, that's when the show takes on a whole new life, you know. So I
So
hope you guys don't get shy.
Now you've really made me more enthusiastic about it. So I want to see all those cosplayers and
Yeah.
things. It would freak me out if I seen the Predator creature come through. That I mean, I'd probably follow it around.
And
Um,
there's been some fun stuff. There was a guy I met out here in Los Angeles area who calls himself Fred Pool. And I'm like, what the heck is a Fred Pool? Fred Pool is Freddy Krueger and Deadpool combined. And I
oh,
thought,
that
well,
would
what,
be
what
yeah,
are, and the thing is, he has fun with it. He has all the great Freddy taglines, but he's also got all the Deadpool taglines, and he just has fun with it. And people, come from around to see this guy. His costume work is very good as well. Um, and I saw, I was at something out here called Midsummer Scream this last weekend, and there were the most amazing cosplay things. I didn't even know what half of it was, but you just watch them combine. You're like, can I get a picture with you? And they're like, really? And you're like, hell yeah. And and so you get to join in the fun of that, together. And that's, to me, that's the fun part, is not just walking around and having people stare at you, but having somebody go, that's amazing. Can I pose with you? And it's like, yeah, let's do that. And it's fun for them because they get to show their work and their creativity out there. So I hope people join in that. And I hope, and the panels and stuff like that. There's so many amazing people that want to tell you about their experiences. And that's the way you learn about the world, learn from somebody who actually has been there and done
yeah,
that. So that's the part I'm looking forward to. Uh, I've never been involved in anything ghost related before. And when people tell me, I'm going to convince you, if you're a skeptic, I can convince you, I can change your mind about that. So please do. Please show me something I haven't seen before. That's what these shows are about: is learn something new, have some fun, get goofy, get silly, dress up funny, and join a community of people who aren't going to look at you funny for that. In fact, they're going to celebrate you.
right,
Because you're not afraid to be who you are. Whatever
absolutely.
that means. So I can't wait. I can't wait.
Now, on top of being able to be as crazy and freaky as you want, as far as your costume and stuff goes, there's also money involved.
Yeah.
We have a cosplay contest, and there's several $100s. That's the grand
Nice.
prize, and there's going to be some real hefty uh, costumes and things of that nature. And what I like about it is these people have created their own costume.
Yes.
There
Yeah. This
and
isn't just going down to the store and renting something or going
right,
to spirit store. These are people who put some time and some energy. They're on YouTube trying to figure out how to form spikes and all that stuff. I love that. I love the ingenuity. And there's a kids one too. I was talking to Shawana about it, and I said,
yeah,
bring your kids out with this stuff. There's an old line that says, "We don't stop playing with toys when we grow up. We grow up when we stop playing with toys." Let your kids have some fun with this. Let them get weird with you. You'll be surprised how much your kids will just think of you as just the coolest parent ever if they get to play and be part of all this. We were talking about doing coloring pages and doing other things to keep the kids involved and engaged in all this. Let your kids in on this part of your life. They're gonna love you for it.
I
Guaranteed.
agree totally. And so that cosplay thing is really kicking off. We had some entries and things already. So um, anybody watching, I encourage you to go
There's
to our
minimum.
website, and you can sign up to be in the cosplay contest. Um, and there's just so many other things that's going to happen at the con, a horror house. People get to go get their fright on, um, kind of see some of my demented stuff that I'm come up with. But
Isn't
um,
it fun to just let your mind go weird and say, "I'm all right." Like when I was doing my book, I said, I just came up with an idea that freaked me out, and I love being able to do that, to be able to just let your mind wander and say, I'm going to do something freaky. I'm going to scare people in a way they don't even expect. I love that. And I
yes,
think people like to experience that. They were like, well, well, what freaks out Stan, do you think? And then they find out, they're like, Stan, you're a freaky dude.
That's right. That's right. Um, so yeah, you mentioned authors. There's going to be quite a few at the con. My beautiful wife Teresa being one of those. She is a paranormal author, and she does something that really gets me. One of her best-selling books is How to Build a Moonshine Still. So,
I probably won't be jumping in on that stuff. I still need my vision. I've heard things.
right, but she
But
has a lot of.
Latriana and I are going to be talking, I guess, on Wednesday. Looking forward to talking to her too. Like mediums. That's one of those things. I actually went to a fortune teller a long time ago. Freaked me out. She knew stuff. And people said, "Oh, you probably, were too transparent. She probably figured you out." I'm like, I can tell you a story, raise the hair on the back of your neck. And so, yeah, the idea of, in fact, I think it scared me so much at the time that I didn't do it again. But knowing somebody who I would be a little more comfortable talking to about the scary parts of that, I'm looking forward to her and the trying to think of the last names. There's a family.
Fox family.
Yes, Fox family. Yeah, I was
Yes.
reading on them. I went on the website and I was kind of looking at all the stuff going on, and I thought, oh man, there's going to be too much stuff to see. I'm going to
Yep.
get to see
Michael and
everybody.
Destiny Fox. Yeah, those are awesome people. But you know something? They are going to be getting remarried, if you will, at the con.
Oh, now isn't that sweet?
We're gonna have a wedding for them at the con.
Very
So,
cool.
and Jeremy Leonard is going to be officiating. He's you know who
I
Jeremy
know the
Leonard
name.
is? Yeah.
Now,
Um,
normally I think of a marriage as a very horror, it's a horror thing right there, just, married life. Well, I don't know. You got to be careful you don't scare too many people away with that. Marriage. Oof.
right. So, but they're dear friends of ours, and we just love them to death. And you were talking about Lee Triana. She's going to be a guest as well, as you know, and she is the real deal. I mean, I have seen her work. I've investigated with her. She is the real deal, and she is the sweetest woman. And her husband Matt, the dude, he's just a pleasure to be in the same room with. And of course, my brother Blaine Rohan.
Oh,
When you meet Blaine, and you'll talk to him on their show on Wednesday. Um, Blaine is a hoot, and you know how you can get on. I mean, if you'll bring him a glass of sweet tea, you could probably get him to do anything.
evening's over, huh?
Yeah, it's done. And we're actually gonna get him a couple of gallons and keep it at his table, so he don't have to get up and go anywhere to get his sweet tea.
We'll put them next
And
to a porta potty because a gallon of sweet tea will go through you.
well, that's true. That's true. But yeah, he Blaine's a good guy, and we have Austin Light, which when you meet him, he is the author of the American Demon comics, and he dresses. In fact, he
I saw it with
was
the
our
goat eyes and the horns and all
yeah,
that.
he was our cosplay winner last year, and
Good stuff. That's
yes,
important.
but Austin's a great guy, and I probably talk to him a couple of times a week through Messenger, and so it's just going to be a great event. We have a whole bunch of other people. We added Jason Arthur um, today as a guest, and also we have Scott Tepperman coming from Ghost Hunters International, and also they just did a movie, Cruel Summer, Pray for Fall, Cruel Summer 3, Pray for Fall, and one of our team members, Webb Paranormal, was actually in that,
Oh,
and
cool.
Dawn, and she's going to be there. So everybody go see Dawn too, because she's that. I think that's incredible. Anybody that can step out of their comfort zone to do something like that,
Yeah.
they deserve that recognition.
It
And
takes some guts to do that because nobody wants to feel embarrassed. Nobody wants to feel like they look silly. But if you take that risk and you can come out shining, you got something
absolutely. So I do hope you're hungry though,
there.
because
I have to tell you, I'm going to tell you this story. I was talking to your wife and I said, somebody had said something about, well, have you eaten squirrel before? And I thought, now I'm from Los Angeles, and you guys know you can have all sorts of pranks on me, and I'm going to believe pretty much anything you say. So when I was talking to Swan, I said, "Are they going to make me eat a squirrel?" And she said, "Who told you they're going to make you eat a squirrel?" And I said, I think I'm getting somebody's playing with me here. And she goes, "No, my sister cooks a mean squirrel." I'm like, "Oh, no, don't do that, because now I don't know that you're kidding." But I am an eater. I am a foodie, and I am looking forward. I try everything at least once. And what was a horrible meal is a great story, and what's a great meal is a great meal. So I'm in.
okay, me being from the South, I'm from North Carolina. The food is a little bit different there than here, but I've adapted. Being here in Alabama so long, I do probably caution you. You may need. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get Tums. I'll have those, some sort of antacid.
Should I
You
head over to
know,
Costco and get those, or should I get the big bottle?
yeah, yeah, I would. I would. But no, Teresa's got some things planned that of course, she's going to treat you well and make sure that you don't go hungry. And she is she is really excited about this whole thing.
I am so excited. I just again, it's been something ever since we talked about it. Gosh, a couple of months back. I've just been watching the calendar, just like, come on, fall. Geez, it's like 105 degrees here in Los Angeles today, and I was like, come on, man, this doesn't feel like fall, but it's August. August means it's almost September. September means it's almost deep south time, and I cannot wait. Everything from the plane flight down there, all of this is going to be just a wonderful adventure. And I really hope people come out for this. I know you guys have had this in the past, and I know this one's, you're taking some new and different takes on this one. And I hope people follow you with that and recognize that you are doing everything you can to make this different and fun and interesting and family friendly.
Yes,
A lot of these things ain't family friendly. Sometimes it's stuff where it's like, if my kids saw that, she'd be freaking out.
right.
Please don't scare my kids. But the fact that you guys are keeping it family friendly, and you're doing such nice things with the Boys and Girls Club and the
Yeah.
Wounded Warrior. I mean, you guys are doing everything with a heart of kindness and to entertain and bring a nice community together. That's awesome. It's just awesome.
Well, we look at it this way:
Excuse me.
our children are our future, and if we don't take care of our children, we're not going to have a future.
Not much of
So
a fun, that's for sure. I need somebody to put me in a nice home, So you got to be good to my kids because they're gonna be picking out the old folks home I get put in.
yeah,
A
that's me.
couple of weeks,
That's me.
couple of months. I give it a couple
Absolutely.
of months.
All right. Well, Mr. Bill, and we call everybody down here by Mister begin with or Miss that. Um, it's that Southern thing.
Yeah,
You'll get used to that, and so many people down here that have that Southern draw,
I
and
love it. I'm gonna pick it up. By the way, I'm gonna be talking like this by the end of the weekend.
that's right.
No, I can't help it. I go to New York, I start talking like this.
That's
Um,
right. So we'll have
I'm going deep in country.
a Southern class teaching people how to talk Southern, and then we'll talk hick.
Well, then we'll get some of that moonshine. That'll take the edge off.
That's right. Every shot you get a little hicker.
Well, man, boy,
Yeah,
let's
that's right.
go
That's
eat a
right.
cigar. Start
So
talking like this. Take one of my front teeth out, and off we go.
that's right. Um, so um, so anyway, and Dawn says she still hasn't caught on to the Southern thing yet.
We'll
And
see about that.
yeah, it as long you keep hanging out with us, Dawn, you're gonna
It gets
adapt.
thicker by the day.
That's right. So, but my wife, of course, she speaks as a Southern belle. She says
Yeah,
so.
a
Yeah,
little more genteel.
that's right. That's right. And so, but
Pass me a sampling of the squirrel pie, please.
that's absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yes,
y'all give me a taste of that.
yeah, she can play that part for sure. And so, but all right. Well, Mr. Perry, sir, I do appreciate you being on the show, and we look forward to seeing you. And you're going to be on another show, I'm sure, before the con. At
Yeah,
least my wife told me you were.
yeah, we got
So,
Wednesday night on Litriana's channel, and then
right,
I think sometime just before, I think about the week before, I'm going to be seeing you guys again. So if anybody else is out there and they've got burning questions, bring them. I'm
Frank.
here.
That's right. All right, everybody. Um, we had an awesome guest tonight. I want you, everybody, can come out to Deep South Bear Comic Con and meet this man.
Please
Just,
do.
just meeting, and you'll be enriched just to meet him. I can't wait myself. So I will be picking you up at the airport. So we will get to talk, and so I just can't hardly wait. But
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
and well, I appreciate everybody watching the show, and y'all just watch out for Deep South Bear Comic Con, and y'all go over to Mr. Perry's page, his website, and where can they get you?
They can get me at Webb's Craven. It's like Wes Craven, who I used to work for, but there's a B in there. So
Gotcha.
it's Webb's Craven on Instagram. And I have my own channel and I got my own. If you go to WilliamRPerryStunts.com, you can see all the stuff that's there and you can see events that are coming up and that sort of stuff. But follow me on Instagram. I go crazy on there. And you'll be seeing me on here in a couple of days. And then you'll see me at the show. And, we'll all follow each other. It's a
That's
cool
right.
community.
All righty. Well, everybody,
All right, everybody.
all right, sir. I will talk with you soon.
Thanks. Take care.
Y'all too. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll talk with you soon.